podcast called Jellison Podcast.
First ever type 1 diabetic in UFC history.
Doing fine, Dub. Nice to be with you.
Get out!
He's like, yeah. My tunnel vision and my periphery, I'm like all field.
Hey, you know how it is, though. Hey, when your team.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of Jellison Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, new associate head coach for Purdue women's basketball, Katie Gearlds. Katie, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
Yes, ma'am. So how's these last couple weeks been? It's kind of been a whirlwind, just with the new transition.
Yeah, well, you just said it. It's just been a whirlwind. Right now, pretty much just trying to keep my head above water, and not sink in there. But everybody up here has been great. Administration, coaches, players. I mean, they've welcomed me. It feels like home immediately. Just a little different beast, right? Than being at Marian at the NAIA. Just a little different animal. But I was talking to someone today, and I feel like I was born to do this, right? Like it's going to be tough, but like this is what I was born to do. And I can't wait for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And what have you been doing during this time to kind of get acclimated to your new role?
Yeah, well, we've had 3 weeks of workouts with the kids. So we've been on the court. We've been able to get on the court, and that's been good for me just to kind of see them hoop a little bit, work them out, get them to know me and the energy that I want to bring. And then in the office, it's just recruit. Stay on it, stay ahead of it. I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing I noticed the difference so far is for me, at Marian, I could wait until a kid was a senior before I would jump on them, right? And now it's just, you got to jump on kids at a young age, and because it's just the way it is. And if you don't, you're behind the 8 ball, and you just got to stay ahead of it. And I think that's the biggest thing I'm learning. And I think it's going okay so far.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I just saw yesterday or the day before, you guys picked up yet another transfer. So that brings the number up to 3, obviously taking the place of some of the girls that left the program. So what has been that process like? What has that process been like?
Well, obviously, like the transfer portal has just changed college athletics for sure. And we had some kids leave, and obviously the portal is there, and we took advantage of it. Like where our roster is headed. And now it's just a matter of being on the court and putting things together and figuring out together.
Mm-hmm. And I was probably a little too young to have an opinion on this, but what was the transfer portal like when you were playing?
There was no portal. There was I'm that old. No, there was no portal. It's crazy because I came to Purdue. Obviously Coach Curry recruited me, and I came to Purdue to play for Coach. And then she left going into my senior year, and Coach Versyp comes in, but I never once thought of leaving, right? Like I was playing for Purdue. I was just going to have a new coach. The honor of wearing Purdue across your chest, it just meant something. And obviously the game has changed a little bit and times have changed, but even if there was a portal, I would have never jumped into it because I was in love with everything that Purdue was and everything that I knew it was going to give me. And look at it now, here I am.
I mean, you've talked about it in several interviews and kind of mentioned it today. It's kind of a dream to come back to Purdue and be the coach. Have you had that moment of realization yet?
Not yet. Not yet. In terms of just like, whoa, this is not really like that, because I feel like I've just been working and haven't really been able to like breathe barely. But I know there's going to be a moment where it's just like, whoa, like this really happened, right? And I think when that moment comes, I'm just gonna probably just sit down on Mackey Arena court and just have a moment to myself. But it's a dream come true. I know when I left Purdue, in 2007 and I got drafted, I told coach, like, save me a spot, like I want this job. And here I am, 14, 15 years later, I get a chance to lead this program. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn behind Coach Versyp for a year, and kind of just handle the business side of everything. So like you said, it's legit a dream come true.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're super grateful to have you. I know a lot of fans are super excited when they heard the news. So you talked about in I think it was the introductory press conference, how you met with Coach Versyp 4 years ago, and you ended up not making that decision to come to Purdue. What changed between that time, and what makes now the right time for you?
For me at that time, I think we had just won our first national championship down there, and we had a squad coming back the next year, and we did. We went back to back. So I think that was big, but also like I just felt like I wanted to grow as a head coach in my own way. I knew that if I would have taken that job back then, I wouldn't have had the chance to grow as a head coach. And I guess that's really what it came down to. Like I wanted to stay the head coach. I wanted to be the one making the decisions in a game. I wanted to make those calls. And then this year, honestly, it just made sense for me from a standpoint. Like I just felt like we had kind of capped out, just like hit a ceiling at Marian. What else could we have done? I thought that in terms of a team, right? We'd won national championships. We won conference championships. I had All-Americans that coached the National Player of the Year, all of those things. It just felt like it was time for me to move on and realize a dream. And I had a chance. And the timing of everything just made sense for me. Professionally, it was a no-brainer, and just a matter of like personally, me trying to figure it out. My family is the biggest thing in my life, and they're at every game at Marian, right? They all live in Indianapolis. I'm 15 minutes away from all of them, my nieces and my nephews. And, Purdue was the only place that was going to pull me away from Marian. And luckily for me, it's only an hour away, so they'll be here.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, like the success that you guys had at Marian? Obviously you mentioned the two natties that you guys won. How did that help prepare you for this next step? And is there anything you can point to for why you guys were able to have so much success while you were there?
Yeah. You get really good players, because any good players will help you win games, right? They cover up the coaching, right? They do that. They hide the coaching. But that's what it comes down to. You recruit kids that can fit in your system, kids that will buy into what you're saying to them. And that's what we were able to do. I mean, year after year after year, there was never a year when we didn't have a kid on the all freshman team. There was never a year when a kid wasn't an all Crossroads League performer. This past year, we brought in 2 Indiana All-Stars. I mean, that's kind of unheard of, right? At the NAIA level, like 2 Indiana All-Stars on a roster. And it just, that's what it is. It's building relationships, getting them to trust you. And then when you have a relationship and there's trust, they're going to run through a brick wall for you. And that's what we were able to do. Obviously, early success made recruiting easy. But if you look at our roster, some of those years, we had Division I type kids on our roster, but it's just, they loved playing for me. They loved the system that we ran. And we had a lot of fun doing it. I think that's the biggest thing. You just got to get out and get these kids that can just flat out hoop and that love to hoop. And that's what we're trying to do up here now.
Are you ever going to hop in the practices and give the girls the work, just to show them that you still have it?
I'm old. Yeah, maybe some shooting drills. I could probably still outshoot a lot of people, but these kids are too young anymore. They just run circles around me.
And it is kind of a weird situation from the outside looking in, maybe from a fan's perspective, you coming in, being the associate head coach, and then becoming the lead girl. following this upcoming season. Do you find that to be true, that it is sort of an awkward situation?
I don't think it's awkward because Coach and I have such a great relationship. And the 1 year I played for her, I mean, she made me an All-American. And I know and I trust that 1 year, just 1 year learning from her from a coaching standpoint, I'm going to become a better coach because of it. I'm sure we see the game similar, but like I'm sure we have different philosophies on how the game should be played and in what way. But I mean, we're a collective unit up here, and it's not just Coach, but it's Beth and Michael, and the entire staff. Like we're gonna work together to piece together this what we think can be a fun year for us. Just the return to normal, hopefully, obviously with fans in the stands is a big thing. Just getting the energy back. But from the outside looking in, I'm sure you're like, okay, that can be uncomfortable, but it's not going to be. I want to challenge Coach, and I want Coach to challenge me, and I want us to make each other better. And I know she's going to make me better, and I'm just looking forward to it every day. And I've been yelled at by her before, so I'm sure it's going to happen again. And now I know it's all out of love. Like I said, we've just stayed close over the years, and nothing's going to change that.
And you kind of mentioned that maybe there's a different philosophy in terms of X's and O's. How will you guys approach that going into this upcoming season, that and recruiting on top of that?
Yeah, I think that changes every year. I mean, obviously you have systems in place that you want, but I think collectively we just look at our roster and we say, okay, this is what we think is going to work best. And I think that's just something we're going to work through together. There may be some times when, hey, I don't agree with her, or she doesn't agree with me, or Beth doesn't agree with her, but like, isn't that why we have a staff, right? Isn't that why we work together? I always told my coaches at Marian, like, challenge me, come at me. Don't always agree with me. If you don't, then I'm not going to learn, and I'm not going to grow, and we're not going to get better. So I hope that Coach knows, like, hey, I'm going to challenge her too, and she's going to challenge me back. Because that's the way our relationship worked as coach player. She allowed me the freedom to kind of challenge her and, see what I saw on the court. Now we kind of have the same view on the sideline, but, we just see the game differently. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you mentioned that you played for Coach Versyp your senior season. You guys have a great relationship. Did things just click right away for you guys?
I don't know that it was right away, but I know at the beginning of the year we went down and we played in the preseason WNIT, and we won that down in Baylor. And I think that's both when we both kind of looked at each other like, okay, we need each other, we got this. Like, I needed her and she needed me, and then once our team really I felt like they saw me buy into it. Everybody jumped on board, and we made a run to the Elite Eight and probably a couple buckets away from going to the Final Four. Unfortunately it didn't end that way for us, but we had a heck of a run.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are kind of in a similar situation as Coach Painter and Coach Katie were in. Have you had the chance to talk with Coach Painter at all? Just, not even about this whole situation, just him welcoming you to Purdue.
Yeah, honestly, he's super busy in the spring, as are we. But we just were passing, and I told him, things are going okay. And he's like, just survive the spring, survive the spring. And that's what you have to do. We spoke on the phone, but I know when things calm down for both of us here, and we got a little downtime in the month of May, he's going to get a phone call and an email and a text. That's just, and that's, who Coach Paint is. Like, he's just that dude, right? Like, he's easy to talk to. He's a great coach. And if he's okay with it, I'm just going to pick his brain and absorb all the knowledge that he has, because his teams can go, and, looking forward to what they do next year. They're about to be really, really good again.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. So going back to Coach Versyp and your guys' relationship, how did that build when you were playing in the WNBA? And then what was the process like of you getting into coaching?
Yeah, so obviously, coach we stayed in contact, texts, phone calls. I came back and worked summer camps, all of those things. Met for dinner every time she was in Indy, just that normal coach player relationship. Then once I got into coaching, like, she became my go-to. There was an issue, like I was calling Coach Versyp, like, hey, help me out. What would you do in this situation? This happens. How do you think I need to handle it? Coach Curry was great and always there for me too with that, but, just coach and being an Indian, understanding, some things about Marian and all that. But that's just kind of how it has happened for me. And I was 28 years old when I started coaching. I wasn't sure I was going to coach. I actually was getting ready to sign another contract to go play in Romania the next year. And I knew I wanted to coach, and I just thought I was going to go for an interview at Marian and just, feel it out, see the process, how's it go. And it was like 7 hours later, I walked out of the interview and I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to offer me a job. And, just prayed about it, thought about it. And finally I told my family, if I get this offer, I'm going to take it. And it was God's way of telling me, like, hey, Katie, it's time to stop hooping and be a coach. Cause like I said, I think I miss playing every day, but I think being a coach is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. How hard is that decision to walk away from the sport? I mean, obviously you had such a storied career. You're playing in WNBA. How hard is it to put your pride aside and walk away and take on a new chapter?
Yeah, in anything in life, when you love something and you're so passionate about it, it's always going to be hard when it comes to an end. Whether I was 28 or 35 or 42, it was always going to be tough. And there are days when I'm watching hoops and I'm like, man, I think I can still play. And then I go out there and try to play, and I wake up the next morning, okay, this is why I'm coaching. The body just says no now. So yeah, like it was always going to be difficult, but like I said, I just prayed on it and just felt like God was telling me something. I mean, I lucked into the situation. Like, Marian is a job. It's in Indianapolis. It's in my hometown. I got to work for Steve Downing, who is unfortunately an IU guy, but Coach Knight walks into the office, right? Bobby Knight walks into the offices, and then Coach Katie, Mr. Downey even got Coach Katie down to talk to us as a staff down there at Marian. So just the opportunity, I knew that it was time for me to quit playing.
Mm-hmm. And I want to go back to your playing career. Like I mentioned, an absolute, I mean, it was an insane, your resume is so insane to me. So ridiculous. So how do you kind of reflect back on your journey as a player, starting from the high school level through Purdue and to the WNBA?
Yeah, honestly, like, I just felt like at every level I've just been surrounded by, really good people, really good teammates, really good coaches that have pushed me to get to the next level, to take the next step. We win a state championship at Beach Grove. I get named Miss Basketball, right? Like, I come to Purdue, we win Big Ten tournaments, we make it to the Elite Eight. Unfortunately, we came a little short and never got to the Final Four, but I get drafted. Like, all of these things, I'm just like, all of your dreams have come true. I mean, it's just crazy. But at the same time, like, I've always had the support system behind me. My family has always had my back. They anything I mean, how many of our family vacations were actually just going to play basketball, right? Like, and then, my sister played college basketball. My brother he could have played, but he's a Boilermaker through and through, and we lived together up here for 2 years. But they always had my back and helped me get to where I am and believed in me. And yeah, I mean, I've been really, really lucky, but I've also worked really, really hard, and I've had like the support system just from day one, just have my back every day.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, not to mention, you were also the McDonald's All-American Game MVP the same year as LeBron James. Yeah,
it's sick, isn't it? Right?
That was sick. Like, when Jake told me that, I was like, what? That was the second year of the women's game being played too.
Yeah, it was crazy. And actually it was in Cleveland. And that was the time, LeBron is on the ESPN magazine, Sports Illustrated. He's got his Hummers, right? Like, that was the time. And like, we're in the hotel and his two Hummers like pull up and we're just like, I'm an 18-year-old kid from Beech Grove, Indiana, right? Like I'm just like mouth wide open, like, oh my gosh. We're eating McDonald's and like LeBron comes and like just chills and sits right next to me, right? I got my 2 cheeseburgers and he's got like 17 cheeseburgers. And dude was the realest guy I think I'd ever met at that time. And like fast forward, so he goes, obviously plays for Cleveland. Fast forward 3 years and we're in the Sweet 16 my junior year and we're playing in Gund Arena over in Cleveland. And they had just finished practice and this guy literally, my back is to him, haven't seen him in 3 years. This guy literally screams KG, comes and gives me the biggest hug. Like it's crazy. Like he was just so real. And people are like, are you a team Mike or are you team LeBron? I'm like team LeBron all day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, so am I. He was my favorite player growing up. I know Jake kind of mentioned that you guys, I mean, obviously you probably don't talk regularly, but do you guys still keep in contact every once in a while?
No, not he's moved on. He's moved on.
Okay, so Jake told me that he would send LeBrons to you guys at Marian. Is that true, or is Jake just full of it?
Jake's full of it. But we did rock some LeBrons. But we did rock them. I always tried to get him to send them, but he never did.
All right, yeah. Fair enough. So coming out of high school, was it always your dream to play for Purdue? Like when you were a little girl, it wasn't? Nope.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in the era where Pat Summitt just flat out dominated women's basketball. And I remember being 10, 11, 12 years old, like I am going to play for her, right? I want to play for her. And she recruited me, right? Offered me a scholarship. And about a week after she offered me, I committed to Purdue. And I don't know why. Obviously, Coach Curry was the selling point. But I just remember walking, in Thompson Bowling Arena and then walking in Mackey Arena. I never got the same feeling down in Knoxville that I did up here in West Lafayette. It's just different. Purdue is just different. There's just something about it that you really can't just put a finger to it. But it's just home. And I knew it as soon as I walked on campus. And then I get the offer from Coach Summitt. It was like, okay, that was your dream. Like, coach, she actually wants to coach you, but let's go where you felt at home. And it was always Purdue.
That's so insane that like a week after you get an offer from your dream school where you wanted to go since you were a little girl, and you're like, no, I'm gonna go to Purdue now. Yeah,
it's home. It's home, man. It's special up here. It's just different. Like I said, it's just different.
So I mean, building off of that, how are you able to grow as both a person and a player at Purdue?
Wow. Okay. Well, as a player, obviously, I mean, my freshman year, I'm guarding Sharika Wright every day in practice, and Rika's an All-American, and I just flat out getting my butt whooped every single day. And that helped me grow. But then, we lost 4 seniors, and then going into my sophomore year, we're a younger team, and just learning how to be a leader at such a young age, learning how to help lead a Big Ten program. And we didn't have a great year my sophomore year, but my junior year, we got it back. And then senior year was it was great. But, and for me personally, the growth was as a leader. I was always somebody who led by example. And then honestly, when Coach Versyp came in, she taught me how to be a vocal leader, taught me how to be a leader that played with emotion, someone that played with some passion. And because I was just always quiet, right? I could talk to you a little bit if I hit a shot in your face or something. I mean, I would give you something and let you know about it. But Coach just taught me how to lead emotionally and verbally. And I'm so thankful for that, because if I don't have that chance, like, right, like I probably would have just been laid back. As obviously as a coach, you have to talk and be vocal and emotional. And Coach taught me that. And I think that's the biggest growth for me in those 4 years, is just who I became as a leader, on the court, but definitely off the court as well.
Mm-hmm. And then capping off your Purdue career, how special was that that senior season. Obviously, All-American, Elite Eight run. How special was that for you?
Yeah, it was. It still gets me every once in a while that we didn't get to the Final Four, but talking to Coach at the beginning of the year when she comes in, is like, hey, let's just get to the Sweet 16 and then see what happens. And we do that. We play in Georgia down in Dallas, and we were able to beat them and get to the Elite Eight. And North Carolina in the Elite Eight game just had us, right. They had a good squad, and we gave it everything we had. Just didn't get over the hump. But just what a special run. I mean, I think we finished second in the Big Ten that year, but we went down to Indy and won the Big Ten tournament, won the preseason WNIT. I mean, we go 31-6, and just a special year.
Mm-hmm. And kind of putting both of your careers together, which are you more proud of, your coaching career thus far or your playing career?
I think my coaching career, and the best thing about that is I feel like it's just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 36, only 8 years in, and now I have an opportunity to lead a Power Five. I just feel like I'm getting started, and the reason I say that, winning as a player was incredible. Winning champion. I mean, there's the greatest feeling, right? But when you win as a coach, and you watch your team celebrate, right? Like, they're cutting down the net, the confetti is falling on them. You have a relationship with each kid on your team differently. And that emotional bond you have with each kid, like, I felt like I didn't just win one championship. I felt like I won 12 because I won, like, with, each kid I got to win, like, just that feeling, because it was different, right? The feeling I felt with my point guard was different than the feeling I felt with my, my shooting guard. Just different. And I think that's the coolest thing about being a coach, is just that emotional connection you have. And then when you watch your team win, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I know, like, I can't imagine, when you do something as a child or a kid and your parents just look at you so proud. And that's the moment that I knew, like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And this is going to be really, really fun.
I mean, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah. I've never heard someone kind of explain it that way, like you're winning 12 different championships.
Yeah, and I can't put, it's incredible, like the greatest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, last thing before I let you go, for all the Boilermaker fans out there, what do you want them to know about you and how you're gonna approach this?
They just need to know that they've got somebody who's going to bust their butt off every single day. And that I mean, that's it. And what you see is what you get, right? I'm from Indiana. I understand what it is to be a Boilermaker and everything that means. I just know that I'm excited to get out there and be in front of the fans. And I will work for them. And this thing is going to take off again. It's just going to. I know it. I believe it. And I won't let this fail.
Mm-hmm. I mean, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to wrap this up, but I mean, we're super grateful to have you. I know a lot of fans are super excited about the future, both right away and down the line. Hopefully you have a super long career here at Purdue. And I mean, we have loads and loads of success, like you've already proven that you can have.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on. I hope I don't ever have to take another job. I hope this is it, and I hope I can ride off into the sunset and hang a lot more banners in Mackey along the way.
Yes, ma'am. That's the plan.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, man. We'll take care.